and welcome to the Teaching Corner. Today I want to talk to you about the AVK Triangle. In Orton-Gillingham, we know that Dr. Orton was the person who discovered that students with learning differences and dyslexia are processing the information in their brains on the wrong side of the brain, that the information is going to the right side of the brain instead of the left side of the brain. And through Orton-Gillingham, we're able to use techniques that help retrain that brain to send that information to the left side so that it can be pulled apart and put back together. One of the main tenets of Orton-Gillingham is the AVK Triangle. And AVK stands for auditory, visual, and kinesthetic. One of the most important things that we can do when working with these types of students is to make sure every lesson incorporates those three parts, the auditory, the visual, and the kinesthetic. The great thing about this is even if you're teaching just a regular classroom and not a classroom full of children with dyslexia, this works because if you know anything or have read about multiple intelligences, many of our kids who don't have those difficulties are various types of learners. So if we're trying to hit everyone in our classroom and not just the traditional way of standing up and lecturing and giving it auditorily, then all of our students in our classroom are able to access the curriculum. An easy way to do that, of course, is to have visuals like maps and pictures when we're teaching, and then also to have kinesthetic ways for the kids to be involved, whether they create something or even if it's something as simple as them taking notes. One of the things I would encourage though is because several of our learners also have difficulty with attention, may have handwriting difficulties and things like that, is to not have them take just, here's a piece of paper, take notes, but to take guided notes, whether that's you doing it in outline form or whether, like if you're using a PowerPoint, leave certain words in the PowerPoint blank that the students have to fill in, so it's guided notes instead of having the students try to figure out everything. This also helps with kids who have auditory processing issues because oftentimes they just can't keep up with the stream of information coming out of your mouth. So limiting what they have to pay attention to and write down and then later can go back and look at. It also helps with kids who have trouble summarizing what it is that you're trying to say. So guided notes are a wonderful way to help make things kinesthetic. Of course, having things that go along with movement is also really, really helpful. In elementary school, it's wonderful, even in middle school, to put things to jingles, put it to music, have the kids move around, put motions to the songs so that they're able to pick up and remember those things rather easily. I did a video a little while back on reading tools that help students, but today, since we were talking about the AVK Triangle, I wanted to share two more with you. So this first one is called a tubaloo. I've also heard it called a whisper phone, and you can purchase these off of Amazon. I'll leave a link down below. You can also just make them out of PVC pipe if you have someone who's rather handy in your house, just getting the long piece and then the little crooked pieces to go on the end, the little connectors. But the wonderful thing about this is a lot of our students want to read silently to themselves because they say that they can read faster. Of course, if we're in a tutoring situation, they don't have that option. We make them read out loud to us so that we can give them immediate feedback. But if a child is doing that and they're reading to themselves silently, they're getting one modality, visual, and that's it. And of course, we know that the more modalities we use, the more it increases what the brain understands and retains. So if we give them this whisper phone, now they can very quietly read the book to themselves, The Cat in the Hat. And it immediately sends that feedback right back to their ear, which helps them with fluency, it helps them with error detection and correction, it helps them with all kinds of things. But now we have taken that and gone from one modality to 3, because instantly the second we read out loud, and the reason whisper phones are great is because they can whisper and not disturb the entire class, but reading out loud not only gives it to us visually as we see the words coming through, but auditorily as we hear the words that we're saying, and then also kinesthetic as we're forming the words with our mouths and saying it. So now we've gone from one modality to 3. The other thing that I wanted to share with you, in that last video that I was talking about, I showed you different ways that you can have a student follow along as they're reading. And I had forgotten about this, but as I was going through and looking for things for another video, I came across this and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. But with it almost being Halloween, these are readily available in stores, and those are witch's fingers. So you can have the students copy along. If you don't want to call it a witch's finger, you can call it an old lady's finger or whatever. But the students can follow along, and it provides for that student who's hesitant and doesn't want to follow along with their finger or feels embarrassed or whatever, especially in a tutoring session. They think it's funny and they follow along as they read, and the pressure of the paper on this little nail actually gives them some kinesthetic feedback in their finger, but it's kind of just a fun little way that you can use in your classrooms to get them to follow along on the paper. So I hope that was helpful. If it was, please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you later.